Joe Clean, Southern Hospitality, February 15th, 1990, 184. As Sholto pulled the minibus into a potholed and weed-filled parking lot, the self-appointed censor of conversation who sat directly behind him asked, "And what details can you provide us concerning the Fairview Great House?" "Besides it being in disrepair," Sholto asked with a smile, "this was built by the French 300 years ago when the Dutch, French, Spanish, and English were fighting one another for control of the islands as well as a great portion of the rest of the world, while also enslaving native Caribs. There was considerable violence, of course, including one incident where Chief Tergomon was plotting a counter-offensive against the invaders. Unfortunately, he had his own Benedict Arnold, a woman by the name of Barbet, who warned the French, who then used deceit and cunning to wipe out the natives who plotted against them. Forewarned and forearmed, the French got the Caribs drunk and murdered them as they lay defenseless at Bloody Point, which lies less than half a mile from here. It always reminds me of Genesis 34:25-29, Sholto concludes. "I'm sorry," the woman asked. "Genesis what?" "Genesis 34, where the Hivite king Hamor's son Shechem rapes Dinah, the daughter of Jacob and Leah. But then it turns out that Shechem is in love with Dinah, and he asks his father Hamor to petition Jacob to allow the two of them to marry, to which Jacob is amenable." Here Sholto pauses, lifts his right index fingers, and says, "But Jacob's sons trick all the Hivite men into being circumcised as a prerequisite for the marriage, and while the Hivites are incapable of defending themselves because of the pain from circumcision, Dinah's brothers Simeon and Levi murdered all the Hivite men and take everything of value and make slaves and God knows what else of the women and children. Invaders in a land with no respect for one another," he concludes. "And you feel that the two are parallel, do you?" the women asked. "Very much so, with the exception being that Jacob and his family were a tiny minority surrounded by dozens, if not hundreds, of more powerful Hivites who killed for gain and honor, while the Europeans who invaded arrived with advanced weapons and an absolute desire to enslave us as animals, unlike the slavery of the Bible." "You have a very interesting perspective, young man," the woman says, frowning. "Thank you," Sholto replies with a smile. "I have learned my lessons well at the hands of many competent teachers." Checking his watch before putting the minibus in gear, he adds, "20 minutes and you should all be safely back at the Hyatt."